OK, well, let's move on to some other news now. And 10 months after he went on the run before his trial for killing a young woman on a first date on his speedboat, Jack Shepherd arrived back in Britain tonight. He's due at the Old Bailey tomorrow to be sentenced in person for the manslaughter of Charlotte Brown. He was originally sentenced to 6 years in absentia after he had disappeared to Georgia.
After more than a year, tonight Jack Shepherd left his Tbilisi prison cell to face British justice, even telling the local prison service crew filming him, "Thank you, Georgia. I love you, Georgia. See you soon." Handcuffed, 2 uniformed officers then led him into a prison van heading to the airport to board his extradition flight and face his sentence for killing Charlotte Brown on their first date. Once on the plane, he spoke to a throng of reporters.
Why did you run?
Fear. It was just, it wasn't premeditated, as, some have said, but it was just a case of being driven by a kind of an animalistic fear and just jumping on a plane, really, with not much to plan. But it hasn't worked out very well, and here I am.
He'd taken Charlotte out on a late-night trip on his faulty speedboat, which then crashed and capsized in the Thames. Charlotte was thrown into the icy water and later died. That was nearly 3.5 years ago. 2 years later, he was charged with manslaughter, but 6 months later, he went on the run. Last summer, he was convicted in his absence and sentenced to 6 years in prison. He was eventually tracked down to Georgia, where he finally handed himself in January. Jack Shepherd is expected to appear here at the Old Bailey tomorrow to be officially sentenced to 6 years in jail for the manslaughter of Charlotte Brown on the grounds of gross negligence. The judge will also consider imposing an extra sentence to him for going on the run. Tonight, he's arrived back in the UK to face the justice he's eluded for so long. He says he'll be fighting his conviction on appeal. For Charlotte's family, this isn't over yet. Sejal Karia, News at 10.